There comes a moment in life when you look around and realize that the same pain keeps showing up again and again. Different faces, different situations, but the same feeling, the same disappointment, the same heartbreak, the same frustration. It feels like life is repeating itself. Like you're trapped in a loop you can't escape. But what if that cycle is not a punishment? What if it's actually a message, a signal that something within you is ready to awaken, ready to grow, ready to change? Because the truth is this: painful cycles only exist until the moment you decide to see them differently. And once that moment comes, everything begins to shift. Most painful cycles in life continue for one simple reason: we are not fully aware that they are happening. Patterns repeat quietly, hiding behind different situations, different people, and different circumstances. On the surface, it looks like life keeps bringing new problems, but if you look deeper, you begin to notice that the emotional experience is often the same. The same disappointment, the same frustration, the same feeling of being hurt or misunderstood. This is the moment where awareness becomes powerful. Awareness is the ability to step back and observe your life like a witness instead of reacting automatically. When you become aware, you start connecting the dots between your past experiences and your present reality. You begin to recognize that certain reactions, beliefs, or fears are repeating themselves and influencing the choices you make. Without awareness, the mind simply follows old habits. It reacts the same way, thinks the same thoughts, and creates the same outcomes. That is how cycles are formed. They become automatic programs running in the background of your life. But the moment you slow down and truly look at what is happening, the cycle begins to lose its power. You start asking deeper questions. Why do I keep attracting the same type of situation? Why do I respond the same way every time? Why does this feeling keep returning in different forms? These questions are not meant to create blame or guilt. They are meant to open the door to understanding. Awareness is not about judging yourself or criticizing your past decisions. It is about seeing clearly for the first time. When you see the pattern, you realize that the cycle is not random. It has a structure, a rhythm, and a message hidden within it. This clarity allows you to pause before repeating the same reaction again. Instead of moving unconsciously through the same emotional pathway, you begin to create space between the experience and your response. In that space, something new becomes possible, and the cycle that once controlled your life slowly begins to loosen its grip. Once you become aware of the patterns repeating in your life, the next step is taking responsibility. This is often the most challenging part because many people misunderstand what responsibility truly means. Responsibility does not mean blaming yourself for everything that has happened. It does not mean judging your past decisions or feeling guilty for mistakes. Instead, responsibility means recognizing that you have the power to respond differently moving forward. When painful cycles occur, the natural reaction is to point outward. It feels easier to blame other people, circumstances, or bad luck. You might say that someone else caused your pain, that the world is unfair, or that things simply never work out for you. While these thoughts may feel justified, they also keep you trapped in the same pattern because they give away your power. The moment you place all responsibility outside of yourself, you also place the power to change outside of yourself. Taking responsibility is the moment you reclaim that power. It is the realization that even if you cannot control everything that happens in life, you always have control over how you interpret it, how you respond to it, and what you choose next. This shift in mindset transforms you from someone who feels like a victim of life into someone who becomes the creator of their path. Responsibility allows you to look at your reactions, beliefs, and choices with honesty. You start noticing where fear guided your decisions, where doubt held you back, and where old habits kept you repeating the same actions. This awareness does not weaken you, it strengthens you. It shows you that change is possible because the pattern is not permanent. It was simply being repeated unconsciously. When you accept responsibility, you stop waiting for life or other people to change before your life improves. Instead, you begin making small but powerful adjustments in the way you think, the way you speak to yourself, and the way you approach situations, gradually shifting the direction of your life towards something healthier and more empowering. Once you begin taking responsibility for your life, the next transformation happens within your inner world. Many people try to change their circumstances without realizing that their thoughts and emotions are silently shaping the outcomes they experience. The inner energy you carry every day influences the choices you make, the opportunities you notice, and the way you respond to challenges. When someone constantly thinks from a place of fear, doubt, or resentment, that emotional state begins to guide their behavior in subtle ways. They may hesitate when an opportunity appears, expect disappointment before anything even happens, or react defensively in situations that require trust and openness. Over time, these reactions create experiences that seem to confirm the same painful beliefs. This is how cycles continue without people realizing that the real source of the pattern is within their own mindset. Changing your inner energy means becoming aware of the thoughts and emotions you repeatedly allow to take control. It requires noticing the stories you tell yourself about who you are, what you deserve, and what you believe is possible for your life. Many of these stories were formed years ago through past experiences, failures, or moments of rejection. They become quiet beliefs that operate in the background, influencing every decision you make. When you begin to challenge those beliefs and replace them with healthier perspectives, your emotional state starts to shift. Instead of reacting with fear, you begin responding with confidence. Instead of expecting disappointment, you begin allowing space for new possibilities. This shift in energy does not happen instantly, but with practice, your mind slowly learns to operate from a different place. As your thoughts change, your emotional responses change as well, and the actions that follow begin to reflect a new direction. The cycle that once repeated itself starts to weaken because the internal conditions that sustained it are no longer the same. When your inner energy transforms, the way you experience life gradually transforms with it. After awareness, responsibility, and inner change begins to take place, there comes a moment where everything depends on one powerful action, making a new decision. Many people understand their patterns and even recognize the beliefs that created them, yet they still remain in the same cycle because they never make a clear internal decision to live differently. Understanding alone does not break a cycle. Real change begins when a person reaches a point where they decide that continuing the same story is no longer acceptable. A decision is more than just a passing thought or a temporary motivation. It is a deep commitment you make within yourself that shifts the direction of your life. When you make a true decision, you stop negotiating with the habits and fears that once controlled you. You begin to draw a line between who you used to be and who you are choosing to become. This moment can be quiet, but it is incredibly powerful because it changes how you approach every situation that follows. The same challenges may still appear, and the same triggers may try to pull you back into old reactions, but your decision acts like a compass guiding you in a new direction. Instead of responding automatically, you pause and remember the person you have chosen to become, a person who values their peace, their growth, and their future more than the comfort of old patterns. Each time you choose a new response, you strengthen that decision. At first, it may feel difficult because the mind is used to following familiar habits. However, every small action aligned with your decision builds a new pathway within you. Over time, the new choice becomes stronger than the old pattern. Situations that once kept you stuck begin to lose their influence because you are no longer participating in the same cycle. A powerful decision transforms awareness into action and turns personal growth from an idea into a reality that shapes the direction of your life. After making the decision to break a painful cycle, the final step is learning to trust the transformation that follows. Change is rarely comfortable in the beginning because the mind is naturally drawn to what feels familiar, even if that familiarity includes pain. When you start choosing new thoughts, new reactions, and new behaviors, it can feel strange and uncertain. There may be moments where the old patterns try to pull you back because they are deeply rooted in your habits and memories. This is where trust becomes essential. Trust means believing that the new path you are creating is leading you somewhere better, even if the results are not immediately visible. Many people give up during this stage because they expect instant change. They think that once they decide to grow, life should suddenly become easy. But transformation usually happens gradually. It unfolds step by step as you continue choosing growth over comfort. Trusting the process allows you to remain patient with yourself while those changes are taking place. It also helps you understand that discomfort is often a natural part of healing. When you are breaking old cycles, you are leaving behind familiar ways of thinking and reacting. That shift requires courage because it asks you to step into a version of yourself that may feel new and unfamiliar. Instead of seeing this uncertainty as a sign that something is wrong, you begin to see it as evidence that you are evolving. Each time you move forward despite the discomfort, you strengthen the new direction you have chosen. Gradually, the new habits, beliefs, and emotional responses start to feel natural. The old cycle that once controlled your life begins to fade because it no longer has the same influence over your choices. Trusting the transformation allows you to stay committed to your growth long enough to experience the freedom that comes from living beyond the patterns that once kept you stuck.